So welcome back to the channel, guys. I've been extremely busy the last 2 weeks in work, but any of my spare time gaming, I've been playing Tears of the Kingdom. This game is eating up my time at the moment. I'm thoroughly enjoying it, but you know me, I like to be honest about my experiences, and there are pros and cons to this game, believe it or not. It's not as perfect as everybody likes to believe or likes to tell you. You know me when it comes to Metacritic and all that bullshit and scores and stuff like that. So let's talk about the pros first. I think the approach to combat has vastly improved from Breath of the Wild. I think it's a matter of the increased number of combat scenarios. The combat in general is just better. It's more varied. And I also think that's because of the fusion technique. So you have these abilities in the game, and one of them that's really brilliantly conceived is the fusion technique. So basically what you can do is you can fuse items, materials with other weapons to combine them, make their attack power increase, or change them in significant ways. And what I like about the combat as well, it's not just constant respawning areas. There is certain areas which you can pretty much liberate. So I like that concept that they've expanded on, and they pretty much, when you're trying to liberate an area, it's like it has a big massive health bar and it keeps track of all the enemies that you need to take out before you can liberate a town or something like that. And it doesn't happen on repeat. It's not shoved in your face, and it doesn't happen all that often, but when it does, it's great. And you know, I'm enjoying the combat more is what I mean from Breath of the Wild. I've never personally had a problem with breakable weapons. I know a lot of people did in Breath of the Wild, but for me personally, I think that just adds to the variety, and it forces you to change up and use different weapons all the time, which I really, really enjoy too. So I do feel that they've addressed one of my biggest gripes with Breath of the Wild, is that the combat has increased, the variety of the combat is much improved, and the methods and ways you can approach each combat scenario is vastly improved as well. It's still a challenge like it was in the original game. Like, I have had to level up significantly my armor and stuff like that in order to be able to take on a base like this in the manner of which I'm doing now. But that's the joy of building up your character as well, which I really enjoy. I think it also has one of the coolest abilities conceived in a game in a very, very long time, being Ascend. So basically, you can ascend through any platform that's pretty much above you. And it makes so much sense given the increased traversal in this game. And I think traversal as well is an important point. It's much easier just to get around in the world in general. But maybe to move slightly into some of the cons, and then I'll move back to some of the pros again. This game can also be quite daunting for anyone that hasn't played Breath of the Wild. I can imagine it can be extremely daunting. The game demands a lot from the player, and what I mean is the game is huge. I can't remember a game this big. I cannot remember a game this big, this large in quite some time. And there are distractions everywhere, and whether or not you can deal with that to try and progress through the main game, that's another thing. The puzzles in general demand so much time, and it depends. There's loads of approaches to completing the puzzles, and this is in relation to the shrines and stuff like that. Again, you could find yourself, I've only got an hour or two time to game this evening or something like that, and you nearly spend the entire hour or so trying to figure out one puzzle, and that feels like a tiny percentage of the game has been moved forward. Whereas, so that to me can be quite demanding as well. And again, yeah, back to the point of it being very, very daunting for anyone who's not played Breath of the Wild. And I think this actually completely replaces Breath of the Wild. I can never imagine myself going back and playing Breath of the Wild after playing this. I really do think it makes it obsolete, and you've absolutely no requirement to play it ever again if you've played it before, I think. And I suppose the main aspect of time, when I speak about time here, is if you're going to get this, if you're going to invest your time with this game, be prepared to put your backlog on hold, because this thing will eat up your time, absolutely eat it up. And again, whether you like that or not, that's up to the person, and I think it's up to the person to manage. But overall, brilliant game, excellent game, but yes, it has its flaws. And it's okay to call them out. Sometimes I find that some of these fan bases, they go nuts if you criticize anything at all, and it's in particular Zelda. But I wanted to share those experiences with everybody. I'm going to go back to play some more Zelda. I'll see everybody on a Friday night for the live stream. Talk to you soon, guys.